welcome back to Beyond the Studio Pilates. My name's Hannah, and today I'm going to take you through a mat-based workout that's really going to look at building strength in your legs and your glutes. If you have a resistance band, it's going to be really handy for some of the exercises today, but if you don't have one, don't worry, I will talk you through it without them anyway. So let's get going. So we're going to work our legs. We're going to do a lying down glute press and a circle. So you're going to bring your eye line so you're looking down at the floor. Core engaged, pelvic floor on. Hands are just underneath your hips. From here, you're going to bring your right leg up into the air. Really brace those core muscles, and then you're just gently going to lift your knee off the mat. So just a tiny lift, don't worry about lifting really high. What I want you to focus on is that weight in the front of your pelvis. So you're keeping the weight even on each side. So you're not transferring the weight to that side that's lifting off or kind of like rolling away. You're keeping the weight even under each hand. Core engaged, really focus on those core muscles. Keep your eye line down in front of you. We're going to do 4 more here. 3, 2, and 1. Then stretching that leg out, flex foot or pointed toe, I don't mind. You're going to do a little circle. So thinking about the circle coming from your femur, so from the top of your leg bones stirring in that hip joint. So you're lifting that whole leg off, and then we're just stirring. Keep thinking belly button to spine, keep that weight even, and then taking that in the other direction. And final one, and then bringing that leg down, core engaged, bring that left leg off the floor, eye line stays down at the floor, keeping that weight even, and lift. 2, 1, and then stretching that leg out. Remember, flex foot or pointed toe, don't mind, core engaged, and then stirring from your femur. And then taking that in the other direction. Keeping that weight even. And then slowly bringing that leg back to the floor. Bringing your right arm into your swan dive position, so making sure your elbow is in front of your shoulder. You're going to look to the left, bring your left hand so it's next to your left shoulder. Then you're going to bring both feet into the air, bring your feet over to the right hand side, and just take that stretch through the front of your right shoulder, holding it there for me. And coming back to the middle, bring your left arm into your swan dive position, looking to the right hand side, right hand next to your right shoulder. Take your legs over to the left, applying some pressure through that right hand, holding it there for me. And coming back to the middle, taking your feet down to the floor, hands under your shoulders, tuck your toes, core engaged. And I want you to see if you can push yourself back up into your high plank position, shoulder blades melting down your back. From here, you're going to bring down 1 knee and 2 knees, and then just rest into your child's pose position. Bring those shoulder blades down your back, thinking wide thoracic breathing. We're going to do 3 breaths. So final breath. we're going to go on to our side next. So we're going to do book and clam. If you have a band and you wish to use it, you're very welcome. So if you are using a band, if you have a loop band, you can just obviously just put it on. If you have a long band, I'm going to bring that band so it's roughly about a hand's width away from your knee. So we're not interfering with that knee joint at all. Then you're going to pull it tight and do it in a bow. So make sure you're not doing it in a knot that you'll never get out of. Try and keep the band as flat as possible if you are using a long resistance band. That will just help make it more comfortable. Sometimes, depending on your leggings, it might want to roll up. Anyway, this one is rolling up. The leggings too shiny, I think. Okay, so next, coming down onto our left side, so we're going to work the right side and then we'll go on to the other side. Your shoulder and your hip need to be in line. Check that that bottom shoulder isn't creeping up towards your ear, so make sure that arm is nice and comfortable. The further away from your body you take your knees, the harder your clam becomes. Little cushion under your head so that your neck stays in alignment and you're not kind of like dipping your head down or pulling your head up. Top hand comes out in front. Rib to hip connection, pelvic floor and a little gap under that lower side. From here, you're going to stretch through your shoulder so your hips are staying stacked up and over. Thinking about moving on your exhale, holding at the back for an inhale, and then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down. Holding at the bottom for another inhale, core engaged, pelvic floor on. And then exhale. Sliding that arm forward, bringing it up in line with your shoulder and then rotate through that mid-spine. Bring your arm back behind. So make sure it's the mid-spine that's moved and you haven't just thrown your shoulder backwards. Holding it here for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down. So this is a really good opportunity for you to work on your shorter inhale and longer exhale. So holding that starting position, taking your inhale as you move that arm forward, and then exhale, you're stretching that arm up in line with your shoulder and then rotating through that mid-spine, bringing that arm back behind you. Hold for an inhale. Then exhale. Pelvic floor engaged, core is on, slowly fighting gravity as you bring that arm back down to the ground. Holding it here for an inhale, we're doing 2 more. Stretch forward, reaching up and then over, rotate through that mid-spine as you go. Holding at the back for an inhale and then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down, really fighting gravity on the way. Final time here, taking an inhale. Stretch that arm forward, exhale, up, rotate through that mid-spine. Look to where your fingers are going, take an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down. Okay. From here, you can move your arms into wherever they're comfortable. My hair has really irritated my face, which is highly annoying. Okay, so keeping your hips stacked all one on top of each other, heels on the ground for now. You're going to inhale to prepare. Then exhale. Push that heavy book off the top of your leg. So you're just opening that knee up as wide as you can without that hip rolling backwards. And this is where the band is quite good because it won't let you open too wide. Holding at the top for an inhale. And then exhale, imagine you've got a big spring between your knees. You're trying to really squeeze it back together. So it's hard work to go down as it is hard to go up. So just Really think about that as you're squeezing those knees back together. Make that inside leg work. So inhale here, exhale, pushing that knee back up, really thinking about that heavy book on top of that leg. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that knee down to the mat. Core engaged. Check in with that rib to hip. Inhale, exhale. Slowly coming back to the top, holding it there for an inhale, and then exhale, squeezing that big spring back together, back to the bottom. Okay, so now if you want to, you can bring your heels off the floor, but you don't have to. You can leave your feet on the floor if you want to. This is just going to increase it slightly, make it a little bit harder work. So we're inhaling at the bottom, exhale, lifting that knee up. Keep thinking about pushing that knee to the sky. Make sure your hips stay stacked, so don't roll yourself backwards. Hold for an inhale, and exhale, back to the center. Hold for an inhale, and exhale, hold for an inhale, and exhale. 2 more here. So holding at the bottom for another inhale, and exhale. Push that leg to the top. Hold for an inhale, and then exhale. Squeeze that big spring back together. And final time, inhaling at the bottom. Core engaged, pelvic floor on. Holding at the top, really pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg. And then exhale, back to the bottom. Lowering those feet to the floor. We're going to swap to the other side. So bringing your cushion over to the other side. Thinking about your setup. So remember, your hip and shoulder need to be in alignment, making sure that that shoulder isn't too kind of close up to your ear. Make sure it's not been bunched up to your ear. The further away from your body you move your feet, the more challenging your clam becomes. Top hand comes out in front, core engaged. We're going to take an inhale, and then exhale. Stretch that arm forward, so make sure you're moving through your shoulder. Stretch that arm up into the air, then rotate through that mid-spine. Look to where your fingers are going. Take an inhale, and then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down. Holding at the bottom for another inhale, and then exhale. Really stretch that arm forward. Make sure your hips stay stacked one on top of the other. Core engaged, pelvic floor on, and then feel that rotation coming through your rib cage as you bring that arm back behind you. Hold for an inhale, and exhale. Fight gravity as you bring that arm back down so it's parallel with the bottom arm. Holding it here, core engaged. Stretch forward, up and over. So see if you can make the arm a bit longer as you reach over to the back. Feel that rotation through your mid-spine. Take an inhale, and then exhale. Slowly bringing that arm back down, pelvic floor engaged, core is on. We've got 3 more to go. So inhaling at the bottom, exhale. Stretch that arm forward, bring it up in line with your shoulder, rotate through that mid-spine. Look to your fingers, inhale, and then exhale. Slowly, with control, bringing that arm back down. Final 2 here. Check in with that rib to hip connection. Keep your ribs in line with your hips as you stretch that arm up and over, and then as you rotate, obviously that's going to change slightly, that's fine. Really slow, controlled movement back to your starting position, and final time, reaching that arm forward, really stretch through that shoulder as you bring that arm up and over, rotate through that mid-spine, hold at the back for an inhale, and exhale. Slowly, with control, bring that arm back down to the mat. Okay, this time moving your arms to wherever they are comfortable. Hips stay stacked one on top of the other. Feet are staying glued to the floor. Heavy book on top of that knee. We're going to inhale. Then exhale. Push that knee towards the ceiling. Remember, keep your hips stacked. Make sure that hip doesn't open too hard. Rib to hip connection, pelvic floor on inhale. And exhale. Pushing that big spring back together, holding at the bottom for an inhale. And exhale. Really push up with that leg, hold for an inhale. And then exhale. And again, holding at the bottom for an inhale. And then exhale, pushing that heavy book off the top of that leg, keeping your hips stacked, core engaged, inhaling at the top. And then exhale, squeezing that big spring between your knees back together. So really make your leg work on the up and the down, holding for another inhale. Exhale. Holding at the top for an inhale. And then slowly exhaling back to the mat. One more here, and then we're lifting those heels off the floor. Hold at the top for an inhale. And then exhale, slowly back to the floor. So now you can lift your heels off the floor if you want to. You don't have to, you can leave them where they are. Make sure that means you haven't tipped that hip forward. So try and stay stacked where you are. Take an inhale to prepare. And then exhale. Stretching that knee towards the sky. Again, keeping your hips stacked one on top of the other. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly bring those knees back together. So this is a really good exercise for your hips and your glutes. You should feel it by now in those glutes. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly back to the ground. And again, inhale at the bottom. Exhale. Pushing that heavy book off the top of your leg. Holding it here for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly back. Final time here. Inhale. And exhale. Push to the ceiling. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Back to the floor. Lowering those heels to the floor. If you have got the band on, keeping the band tied for now, because we're going to do shoulder bridge and we'll use the band for one of our shoulder bridge exercises as well. So we're going to come down onto our backs. We're going to go into our shoulder bridge. So shoulder bridge is really good for stretching out through those quads and strengthening through your hamstrings and your glutes. And the band just helps with one of the exercises that we're going to do, just to add in a little bit of extra work. If you don't want to use it, you can obviously take it off. Making sure your feet, knees and hips are hip distance apart. Arms are just gently resting on the floor. From here we're going to take an inhale. Then you're going to exhale. Tilt that pelvis and roll yourself up into your bridge position. So remember, weight is in your shoulders, not in your neck. and you're creating a ski slope-like position. Make sure those glutes are lifted, but you're not hyperextending. Core engaged. From here, we're going to take an inhale. Then we're going to exhale. Slowly, with control, laying each vertebrae down on the floor one at a time. So your pelvis stays up for as long as possible. Slow, controlled roll to the mat. Holding at the bottom for an inhale, so once you've rolled back into your neutral spine. And then exhale, back up into your bridge position. Rib to hip connection, keeping those glutes working. This time on your inhale, you're going to bring your arms over your head. Now, if you've got any shoulder injuries, you could just bring your arms to here instead. If not, you can take them all the way to the floor or wherever feels comfortable. Check in with your ribs though, make sure you haven't let them go. So think rib to hip connection, keep hold of that rectus abdominis. Hold for an inhale. Exhale. Slowly, with control, laying each vertebrae down on the floor one at a time. So this is a bit of a Marmite move. You'll either love it or you'll hate it. I love it. I think it's a really nice back stretch. But if you don't like it, just leave the arms out. We're going to do one more with arms. So holding at the bottom for an inhale. Exhale. Rolling up into your bridge. Holding at the top, rib to hip connection. Inhale, arms over your head. Then exhale. Slowly, with control, rolling down one vertebrae at a time. Rolling back into your neutral, bring your arms back down by your sides. Okay, from here we're going to go into working those legs a bit harder as well. So pelvic floor on, core engaged. Exhale, rolling back up into your bridge. When you get to the top of your bridge, keeping your hips lifted, so try not to let them sag down. You can hold on to them if you want to, or just visualize that spirit level over the top of your hips. Make sure that bubble stays in the middle, and then you're just going to push your knees out to the side and back to the middle. And we're going to do 5 of these, so we've got 3 to go. 2 and 1. And then from here we're going to do heel lifts. Now you can either lift both heels at the same time, or you can lift an individual heel. Okay, and we're going to do 4. So here we go for 4, 3, 2, 1. Placing your heels back on the floor, check your position, take an inhale, and then exhale. Slowly, with control, rolling back down to the mat, keeping that pelvis up for as long as you can. Rolling back into your neutral, holding here for an inhale, and then exhale. Tuck that pelvis back underneath you, come back up into your bridge. We're going to do that all again. So core engaged, keeping those hips lifted. So make sure as you take your knees out, you don't sink back down. Think about staying up in your bridge. And we're going to do 3 more here. 2 and 1. And then holding it there. And we're going to do our heel lifts. So 5 heel lifts. 5, 4, 3. Really should feel this in those glutes. 3. Oh no, that's 2. And final 1. Holding here for an inhale. And then exhale. Slowly, with control, bring yourself back down to the mat. Remember, pelvis stays off the floor for as long as possible. Rolling back into your neutral. You can now get rid of your band, hopefully. She says. Get rid of your band. And then from here, we're going to do a really nice hip roll. So you're going to keep your feet and your knees hip distance apart. Bring your arms out so they're slightly further away from your sides than a normal kind of position. Rib to hip, pelvic floor engaged. Pelvis is in neutral, spine is in neutral. Little gap remains under that low back. From here, we're going to inhale. Then you're going to exhale. just let your knees gently fall over to the left hand side. So your feet will kind of roll to the left. So the soles of your feet might come off the mat. Feet stay on the floor though, don't lift your legs up. Hold it wherever your knees kind of get to. Take an inhale. And then we're going to exhale. Pull yourself back to the center. Hold in the middle for an inhale. And exhale. Slowly let those legs roll over to the right hand side. Hold it there for an inhale. Shoulder blade stays on the floor. Exhale. Back to the middle. So this is using kind of your lower core. Hold for an inhale. Exhale. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Back to the middle. Holding in the middle for an inhale. And then exhale. Just letting those legs fall over to the right. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Pull them back to the center. One more time to each side. So this is a really nice exercise for your hips and for your core as well. Back to the center. Final time to the right. Exhale. Move. Hold for an inhale. And then exhale. Back to the middle. Take one leg and two legs out. Give yourself a full body stretch. Then from here, bringing your arms into the air. Take an inhale. And then exhale. Tuck your chin and slowly, with control, roll yourself back up to sitting. Thanks for joining my legs and glutes mat work today. I hope you found it really beneficial. Check out my playlist for other videos you can do from wherever you are, whenever you like. Bye for now.